Hi everyone, welcome to day one at the 10th annual edition of the Data Innovation Summit here in Stockholm. I'm very happy to be standing here with Caroline Carruthers, who is coming from Caroline and Jackson's. Welcome Caroline, it's my pleasure to have you here with us.
Thank you, Jana, it's really pleased to be here.
Caroline is also one of our speakers at day one at the summit. And Caroline, I would like to ask you, how does it feel to be here at the 10th Jubilee edition, and how does it feel to be speaking in front of so many people who work with data analytics and AI?
It feels amazing. I mean, this is my third attempt at getting here, and twice I just couldn't make it for reasons outside our control. But to finally be here, to feel a fantastic atmosphere that's here and have so many people come along to hear me talk was amazing. So thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us today. We're very happy that you're enjoying it so far. Caroline, I have some questions for you regarding your session at the summit. One of the key points that your session touches upon is really powerful insight, actually, which is leadership. While valuable, can actually be a risk in data transformation. So what have you seen from your experience go wrong when organizations tend to lean too heavily on one single person?
It's funny, it's the main thing that I spoke about, and I actually shared a personal story because this happened to me, which is why I wanted to share the story with so many people today. And it was earlier on in my leadership career, and what happened was I thought I'd created a transformation that had longevity, and unfortunately when I left, things just started to fall apart. So it was seen to be my project and not the organisation's project, so that when I wasn't there, I described it a little bit like being the Pied Piper. So the children would follow the Pied Piper, but as soon as it stopped playing, then the children stopped following, and it was a little bit like that.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. And I would also like to ask you, from your experience and expertise, what are some of the key building blocks of a data transformation that can outlast the person who started it?
I think that's really important, because there are some really important things we need to take care of to make sure that the transformation achieves longevity, so that you don't get into the whole Caroline's project or whoever is doing it. So I think the key thing is to create a team of leaders, not just have one leader. And I know that when you're starting off, that can feel very difficult, because in some organisations you might be the only one person starting, but as you bring more people in, make sure that you give them the space, the headroom, the capability to be able to be the leader alongside you, so it's not all just relying on you. Whenever you're leading any kind of transformation, it's important that you solve problems, but a big part of it is sharing that you've solved that problem, because I know we've spoken before, as data people, we're fantastic at solving the problems and maybe not so good about talking about it. And to actually have people keep going with the transformation, they need to know things have got better, so tell them that things have got better. And one of the most significant things to ask yourself is what's in it for them. So how do you keep asking yourself that question? How do you keep solving those kind of problems and make a difference? And it always comes down to communication at some point as well.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. It's very interesting to hear your insights, especially coming from your personal experience in leading a data company. Also, I would like to ask you, as I mentioned, you've worked with a couple of data transformations before.
Yep.
Can you share an instance, an example where longevity and sustainability were embedded in the process from the beginning, and what enabled that process?
Yes, I can happily share those kind of projects. So we work with a lot of organisations now to help them do these kind of things. And some of the things that we talk about right at the beginning is about embedding that culture and embedding the literacy. And it's about instilling curiosity in everybody, not just the members of the data team. So making sure that you're doing that from the beginning, that you're engaging the business. But the big trick is about focusing on outcomes, not outputs. So we've
Right.
seen people fall into the trap of, well, we've created a new data lake or we've put a new piece of technology in. I'm not dissing the technology, people. Vendors, do not worry about it. It's really important that you have the right piece of kit, but it's equally as important that people know how to use that kit.
Exactly.
So it's how you make sure you instill all of that and not just put a thing in.
Yes, thank you for sharing that, Caroline. I would like to ask you regarding the next couple of years, what would be your vision for the future when it comes to organizations using data to create value, and also what are some developments or trends maybe that you hope to see in the next couple of years when it comes to data?
Well, I think at the moment we've got, this idea of there's data, then there's technology, then there's AI, and they're all different things. And realistically, what I would like to see happen is that we stop talking about them as separate buckets and talk about the difference that we can make if we can actually instill the best of everything in our organisations. So how do we bring it all together and stop talking about the whole garbage in, garbage out scenario? How do we stop talking about AI like it's the new bright shiny tool? But how do we focus on solving real world problems? And I have to say, when we talk about AI, I much prefer the term augmented intelligence than artificial intelligence. So that would be a trend I would love to see happen, us talk about augmented, because I want this data, this technology to be able to solve real world problems, to make our lives better. I know that we talk a lot about how the impact that AI is going to have and that data has a real part to play in that. And I want to make sure that that's a really positive future for everybody.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. And as we all know, the slogan on this summit is embracing the transformative value of data and AI.
Yeah.
So one more question I have for you is regarding getting that value out of the data for organizations, but also for individuals and teams. What would your advice be, or what would you suggest for organizations to try out or do differently when they are investing in data and waiting for the value out of it, but not always organizations get the value that they expect from their investments? So what would you suggest they try differently?
So I think this kind of cuts across commonly accepted wisdom, but I don't think data itself has an intrinsic value. And I know that that goes against a lot of what we're talking about, but the problems that it solves has immense value. So I think that's the way we should be thinking about it, rather than what we do for the data actually instilling the value itself. It is the problems that we have to put in place, the problems that we solve, that actually create the value from the data, and the data is a component to be able to solve that problem. So that's the first thing that would hopefully change in the way that we're talking about it. But the main thing, I think, and the main mistake that I see organisations still try and tackle, is they treat all data like it's the same. So one of the first things that I'd like to see organisations do is to understand what I would call the crown jewels of their data, what's really important, what's really critical, what's really going to drive them forward, and what is useful for a day or two. And start to treat those things in different ways, because you should be putting your resources, your time, your effort into your crown jewels of data, and the rest of it is good enough, really is good enough. And I think if we stop falling into the trap of putting all our resources spread equally across organisations, what we can then do is start to experiment a bit more with the crown jewels, where the value actually really sits. That's what I'd like to see happen.
Thank you very much for sharing these insights, Caroline. And to sum up our talk today, if you had to describe the Data Innovation Summit in one word, what would that word be?
Exciting.
Exciting. Thank you very much, Caroline.
Thank you.